This video is dedicated to Antonio Rouse. Antonio, thank you. Hello all, back again with some arena gameplay, this time doing something a little bit more in keeping with what we're used to in Brawl. Brawl, for anyone who doesn't know, is a 60 card singleton format. Let's get out a tap land, we'll go for double black. Yeah, 60 card singleton format. We can only use standard cards. We get a commander, just like we do in eedi-H, but there is no commander damage, and we can use planeswalkers as our commanders. So we have chosen Sorin Vengeful Bloodlord, and it looks like we've got Teysa Karlov, so a couple of Orzhov decks hitting it off. Let's put a 2/2 in the way of the Speaker of the Heavens, because if they get up to 32 life with that, they'll be able to start making angels. And they get themselves into Griffin area. I imagine we're going to see very similar decks here, because they're doing all the stuff that we typically like to do as well. How about we'll shock this in and we'll get down the Daxos. And then I think we're safe to swing in here. Then our opponent goes for Birth of Meletis, which will allow them to look for a plains. They get a wall next turn, and then the turn after that gain 2 life. We get into another tap land. So I think our best bet here is go for Swift End onto this thing. I imagine they have means of getting it back in Orzhov, but we'll just clear it out of the way and force them to use whatever cards they've got to get that back. We have reanimation tied to our commander, so I think we would be looking pretty good on that front, better than they are anyway. Get their wall token. And then it's a Playcrafter. And we're going to go for Sorin next turn anyway, so not too worried about this. We'll get rid of the Ajani's Pridemate because that will gain life on Daxos when it enters. And then it'll turn itself into a 3/3. Let's grab ourselves a black source because we've got lots of black cards in hand. Okay, another life gain effect in Mangara the Diplomat. Veto is more of a game finishing card, so let's go for Sorin and we'll get that Ajani back. Minus X. X is obviously 2 for Ajani's Pridemate, because that's the CMC that we're looking at. And that comes in, triggers Daxos and puts a plus counter on itself. Now Daxos has lifelink as well, so we'll put another plus counter on Ajani's Pridemate when it deals combat damage. So now a 4/4 Ajani's Pridemate. Now Priest of Forgotten Gods. 2 tap, sacrifice 2 other creatures. Any number of target players each loses 2 life. And sacks a creature. You draw a card and add 2 mana. So we really don't want to see their Teysa at this point. Why don't we... Yeah, I don't think they're going to cast 2 creatures. It's not worthy. They do have a sack outlet as well. Maybe we do play out Veto this turn, actually. We can go for Murderous Rider and Veto. So we'll go like this. Make sure the auto tapper doesn't mess us up. And that puts another plus counter on the Pride Mate. Then we'll just swing in with the Pride Mate. That is 5 damage, 5 life for us. And that means that Veto is going to have our opponent lose a further 5 life. Then we'll plus with Sorin on our opponent. Looks like we might be able to get a quick one this time round. So Sorin does effectively 2 damage thanks to Veto. Oh, and I thought we'd have enough mana held up there for the Murderous Rider, but I obviously miscounted there. Yeah, and our opponent decided to scoop that, that's fair enough. All we really had to do was turn sideways there. They either had to get rid of our big creature, Veto, or the Sorin. But obviously didn't have anything there, so I think we should get on with another game. Okay, that is not an incredible hand, but we do have some decent life gain in both the Orator and Shadow Spear. Got some removal, so let's just keep that, as well as keeping our fingers crossed. Up against Alela, Artful Provocateur. So what do we go for first? I don't suppose it matters. We'll just go in for the Orzhov tap land. Might need double white or double black next turn. We get into a Temple of Silence. Scry a card to the bottom. We get into Liliana. So let's just go for the Orator. Then a tap land from our opponent into Healer's Hawk. Another land for us. Yeah, we'll go Shadow Spear. I think we'll actually... Yeah, we'll play and equip the Shadow Spear, so let's go for a Swamp. And that will make this a 3-3 with Trample and Lifelink. And we're out racing them at this point, but obviously there's a lot longer left to go in the game yet. Getting down a 2-2, I don't know this one. Creature you control with flying have spells your opponent's cast, cost 2 more to cast when they target this. Alright, we need to be at 25 or more life, and that is a 4-4, which it is, and we are. So we'll go like that. They're not going to block us. Take this opportunity to get down the tap land in Evolving Wilds, and let's swing in as well. Then this can be a swamp because we've already got plains in hand. And there is Alela, Artful Provocateur. I think that needs to eat a Grasp of Darkness. And then we can maybe go in for Liliana next turn. Yeah, so let's go for Grasp. And that makes our attacks here much better. That does cost 4 thanks to this thing. But I'm hoping that they'll block with that soon enough. Might get a double block here on the 3-3. Though it wouldn't be a particularly good double block, I don't think. Getting through to them, knocking them down to 12. If we go for Liliana next turn and minus down, I don't think it's the worst. Probably just make a zombie, to be honest. Alright, Empyrean Eagle going for a flying tribal sub-theme with Alela. And turning a couple of things in sideways at us, which actually makes our attacks easy. They might have the untap flying creatures and they get +2/+2. If they do have that, maybe we just go for Liliana and minus it down because we'll have lost both of our creatures. Let's just continue swinging at them. If they've got that card, we want it out of their hand. No, apparently they don't have it. So is there any point in playing out Liliana? That will be 7 loyalty. They've got 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. So it'll just die immediately. Yeah, as much as I hate it. Yeah, we'll just play out Liliana and try and get them to attack in at us, because it's not the best idea for them to turn everything in sideways to get rid of Liliana, because then they're opening us up for an attack. So we may well keep our Planeswalker here. Alright, a glorious Anthem. And they're swinging in with 2 things. Oh no, 3 things there. Going up to 10.
I am exhausted.
Alright, well, what have we got here? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 with Sorin, so let's see if we can ping them. Yeah, looks like we managed to distract them with the Planeswalker. So let's hope that these go through. Yeah, our opponent says oops. Maybe a newer player. But yeah, made short work of them there because, like I said, they got distracted by the Planeswalker, I think. So the quest for a good back and forth game continues. Now then, what are we looking at here? We could get into a white for everything else. The only thing we can really do here is Vampire of the Dire Moon. I think we need to get into both of our colours in our opening hand, preferably. Okay, well, we've got mana there, but we don't have anything in the early game. Let's have a look at our opponent's commander and see if we can work anything out from there. Yeah, Alela, I think, would have a lot of rocks and things. I'm going to go down a card. Alright, that's looking half decent. Let's keep that. And get rid of the Shadow Spear, I think. Yeah, let's do that. Not the Temple of Silence. There we go. Then we'll go Temple of Silence, try and get into some more mana. Speaker of the Heavens is... yeah, I don't think we're going to be fast enough, especially with no lands. We just need to get into lands here. And we do get into a land. Nothing to do on turn 2, so we might as well play Godless Shrine in tap to save ourselves some life. Then our opponent just plays a land as well. We get into another one in the plains, so let's go for Bloodthirsty Aerialist. Okay, Chromatic Lantern. I did think our opponent would get off to a faster start than this, but apparently not. So we'll go for the Sorin. We will plus point that at our opponent to put a plus counter on the Aerialist and then swing in for 3. And that'll gain us a life because the Aerialist has lifelink thanks to our commander's static ability, so bumps itself up to a 4/5 with flying. Alela does have Death Touch, but we've got Fate's Fetters for her. Alright, Kaya's Ghost Form would make it difficult to get rid of her if it wasn't for the Fate's Fetters, so let's go like that. And then we'll plus ping our opponent again. They can swing in at our Sorin if they like, but we're going to swing in at them for 6. Don't suppose they'll find it all that difficult to get a lot of 2/1s into play with Alela. Now a Prism Realm, I'll be intrigued to see what that goes on. Does it allow their... No, they go after our commander. I was wondering if it would go for the Faith's Fetters. We will put our commander back in the command zone. Then a Conclave Tribunal gets them into another fairy. So that gets rid of our flyer. We get into a tap land. Which means maybe we go Shatter the Sky. They just replay their commander next turn. Yeah, let's try and draw some cards with Mangara. They might play a couple of spells next turn to litter the board with fairies. If we can get them close to emptying their hand, then I'm more happy to go for a board wipe. Alright, Divine Visitation. That's a good one. Now every artifact and enchantment that they cast will get them into a 4/4 with Flying and Vigilance. Maybe we try and keep Mangara around for a little bit longer and just go in for the Murderous Rider. Or the Swift End, I should say. Yeah, let's just try and drag things out a tiny bit longer. We'll try and encourage them to replay their commander next turn. Oh, I forgot about the Kaya's Ghost form actually, so... Well, that knocks that off at least. So the Shatter the Sky will actually work to get rid of their commander now. Don't need to worry about the Death Touch as much, so... Yeah. We needed to get rid of Death Touch before because we had a big aerialist that was swinging in. Don't need to worry about it as much now. Just need to hope that they play 2 spells, but they're just going for big stuff. Don't mind wrapping that up in a board wipe. Just swinging in with one thing as to not give us card draw with Mangara. Yeah, so let's swing in. Might as well gain 2 life before we kill off our own commander, or our own Mangara. They decide to allow it through, expecting a combat trick, which is fine. We get 2 points of free damage on them. They will draw a card from Shatter the Sky, but they'll also lose all their creatures. Just getting down their commander again. We are going to go in for God Eternal Oketra, I think. They won't be able to block our God Eternal Oketra effectively with the Alela. Something tells me they've got a lot of removal in their hand though. No, Archon of Sun's Grace is good. And what's that? Turns it into a frog, I think. All abilities are lost, and it is a 1/1. So there's that. Now, yeah, they're getting a bunch of tokens down with the Archon of Sun's Grace, which makes 4/4 angels. They have +1 thanks to them having flying from Alela. Yeah, I think our opponent might have us here. Let's go for Daxos. And we'll go for the Murderous Rider. Okay, going for a counter on that. So down to 1 card in hand. Then let's just grab ourselves a Black Source with Evolving Wilds so I don't pass the turn and forget about that. They're not going to swing in with a 1/1 God Eternal Oketra. Although I suppose we could have tried to have them kill that off so that we've got half a chance of drawing into it again, but I think our opponent's going to outrace us here. Need to get into Kaya's Wrath really. Idyllic Shooter will allow them to search for an enchantment. They get themselves Nightmare Shepherd, which gets them into another angel because that is an enchantment creature. Another couple of angels actually. When a non-token creature you control dies, you can exile it, create a token copy of it, except it's a 1/1 nightmare. Yeah, our opponent has got us here. So let's just go for Sorin. Oh, I actually thought they countered the Murderous Rider there. What did they do with that? Oh, they destroyed another creature. Yeah, they went for the Daxos. Alright, I thought they were countering there, but they actually killed off Daxos and allowed the Murderous Rider in. Let's minus down, might as well get a creature. We'll grab that Daxos back, because we probably lose our Sorin anyway. No attacks. They turn everything sideways in at us, and we lose the game. So yeah, cool Alela list there. Yeah, we just didn't get as much stuff going as they did, quite frankly. They survived plenty of removal, a board wipe, so yeah, very good game from Alela. Now then, who have we got this time? It is Teysa Karlov, okay. Seem to be coming up against similar commanders over and over again. Yeah, we've got a tutor, we've got some removal, all of our colours. Yeah, it's not an incredible hand, but we'll keep that. Get out a black mana with the Fabled Passage. Then it's just another tap land for us, this time a scry land in Temple of Silence. Shadow Spear. I think we just need to get into some kind of creature, so we'll bottom that. Can always tutor it up later if we feel desperate for it. Okay, Cruel Celebrant perhaps should go in this deck in place of the Vicious Vampire or whatever it's called. I think we can go for a tutor here. Maybe we go for Oketra. That's the one I was talking about. Vindictive Vampire it's called. Anyway, let's go grab the... where is it? In alphabetical order, is it? No. God Eternal Oketra is there. In order of CMC, maybe. Haven't worked that out yet. Alright, and a Kaya from our opponent, Orzhov Usurper.
I heard you had some dead things that needed to stay dead. You won.
And they exile a couple of cards from our graveyard. Might be relevant with our commander. We can reanimate creatures quite easily. So I think it might be worth a Prism Realm on that commander. Or Planeswalker, I should say, not commander. Silver Smoke Ghoul is alright when we've got Oketra in play next turn, or after next turn. So we'll keep that on top. And our opponent gets into their own Shadow Spear. See if they equip, they do. Swinging in for 2 lifelink damage. And then we draw into the Ghoul, of course. Let's get down a Plains, get down God Eternal Oketra. And it's just hoping that we have got Eternal Oketra in play next turn. Oh, Luminous Broodmoth. I toyed with the idea of having that in this deck. I don't know, I might add it back in place of that Vindictive Vampire. Do we want to give this thing flying? I mean, yeah, I'd rather give it flying now than later. Because if we want to go for a board wipe or something, we don't want a load of stuff to come back. So I'll just put up with the fact that they've got flying now. grab a swamp, go for Silver Smoke Ghoul and Veto, I think, and then we can get down our commander and swing in with lots and lots of lifelink damage next turn, which doubles up incredibly well with Veto. Then there's no reason to not swing in, because they're not going to block, I don't think. So we whack them for 6. And now if they feel they need to board wipe, they'll lose both their creatures, thanks to us blocking the Cruel Celebrant before. Alright, D-Spark exiling the God Eternal Oketra. But we can put it into the library third from the top when it gets exiled, so yeah, God Eternal, or the God Eternal cycle in general, very difficult to get rid of. So we'll put that third from the top, I don't mind drawing into that again. Then swinging in at us with a Broodmoth for 3 in the air. I think our tactic is largely the same, although it's good to get that Murderous Rider. Yeah, we've got 2 black held up, so let's go for Sorin. Then a plus on our opponent. We'll drain them for 1, then Veto will take another one from them. And now thanks to Sorin's static ability, we've got lifelink on all of our stuff. Just go for the Luminous Broodmoth now, should really do it during our opponent's turn. In case they go for some kind of equipment onto that, or aura or something, we could get a 2 for 1, waste their mana. And then, not going to swing in with Veto. Let's just swing in like that, and like that. We'll get the Silver Smoke Ghoul back at the end of the turn if they do kill it, because we're gaining some life here. I think it's 3 or more life we need to gain. Yes. 3 or more life and this comes back from the dead. So that is 4, 8 and 11 damage we deal, which makes Veto deal 11 straight to their face. They do gain some life from the Cruel Celebrant though. But we knocked them down to 8. They killed off our ghoul with a token, but like I said, it comes back. So God Eternal Oketra was a good tutor, I think. Mortify on Veto now. We can get that back with Sorin, unless they manage to exile it. So, yeah, they should hold this back as a blocker, really. Okay. Yeah, our opponents seem to be getting distracted by... Yeah, seem to be getting distracted by Planeswalkers. I mean, I think we had them anyway there, because we just minus down on Sorin, get the Veto back and swing in. And we deal a bunch of lifelink damage and drain them out for the rest with Veto. So that's typically how we want to run this deck. It doesn't always go according to plan. But it's fairly consistent, I think, considering I just threw it together with some cards that I already had for Arena. I've only crafted a few cards, like the Liliana and the Oketra, and the Sorin itself. Anyway, hopefully you all enjoyed this visit to Brawl. Be sure to leave it a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more Brawl and Commander content. And let me know in the comments what type of thing you'd like to see in that regard. I'm tribalkai on the eedi-H channel. Thank you for watching.